Welcome to Brooklyn Law School. Raise your hand if you were here last month. Okay, raise your hand if it's your first time at Brooklyn Law School. Wow, all right, it's a lot of you. Take a moment at some point to look at the view. This is our Pearl venue at the school. And we don't get to use it too often, but I convinced the administration that the Brooklyn Tech Meetup community was worthy of our Pearl space. Anyway, I'm Jonathan Askin. I'm a professor here at Brooklyn Law School, and it's my hope, and I'm grateful to the Jasons for organizing the Brooklyn Tech Meetup and allowing us to host it for them. It's my hope and belief that the Brooklyn Tech Meetup will likely become the primary hub for Brooklyn's techies and entrepreneurs. That's my hope. It's also my hope that my students and I can serve as a free and natural resource for burgeoning entrepreneurs. My students and I, through the Brooklyn Law Incubator and Policy Clinic, offer free legal support for innovative, tech-oriented startups, unfunded. If you're funded, we're going to send you off to a firm. But until that time, and until we get you ready for the firm, if you can't otherwise afford legal counsel, we want to be your guides through the early process. Because it's almost impossible to get funding unless your early legal work has been done and done properly. Anyway, I'm going to hand it over to the Jasons to get us rolling, and I hope you all become regulars at the Brooklyn Tech Meetup. And treat this like your community. Who's been to the New York Tech Meetup? All right, a lot of you. It's my hope that this becomes something as relevant as the New York Tech Meetup has almost 30,000 people. Last month, we made the mistake of running the Brooklyn Tech Meetup the same night as the New York Tech Meetup. We still had overflowing standing room waiting list only here. But if we can grow our community to something that relevant, they become a real solid force for policy reform also. It's my hope that we can also do that and work with the New York Tech Meetup and build something pretty profound. So Jason, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Super excited to be here. I am Jason.
Oh, and I'm Jason as well. Hi.
Yeah, cool. So we have an awesome set of presenters for you tonight. I will let them speak for themselves in a little bit. But first, I just want to give a big thank you to all of our sponsors. First of all, Experis. We have Blip. We also have Lost Tribes. The beer that you guys are drinking, they are a super micro brewery. This is like a lot of the portion of the beer they're making right now, and it's amazing. So please enjoy it. Please go over, talk to them, and thank them for the awesome beer. We now have over 1,100 members, which to us is like amazing, and we're so glad that you guys are all here and supporting us. We're growing all the time, and we really want to make this something awesome. So thanks again for being here and supporting us, and yeah.
Yeah, thanks again. Jason and I started this meetup out of our own desire to create a kind of warm and casual space for anyone who's entrepreneurially inclined, involved in the tech industry, or just interested in it to come and feel comfortable interacting with each other. We believe that everyone has something to offer, and whether you're a VC or you just read a magazine about startups, you should interact and feel comfortable doing that. So we really hope that you use this space. Please give us any suggestions or feedback that you have. What do you want the Brooklyn Tech Meetup to be? We're all ears, and we're thrilled that you guys are here. Thank you so much. And I think we're about ready to get started.
Yeah, we're going to get started right now. So first we have Mitch over here. He's with Made in New York, and they are working on a new collaborative space right in Dumbo, and he's going to tell you a little more about it.
Hi, I feel really overdressed.
Not at all.
But thank you to Jonathan Askin for inviting me, and the two Jasons for both having me. And I have a few minutes to explain to you a little bit something about this RFP that our organization won a few months ago that we intend to open up this upcoming summer. So it's a Made in New York media center by the initiative of the Bloomberg administration in order to craft a facility, a place where storytellers can work with technologists in order to craft new stories and new technologies. The thinking is that by proximity to one another, in an incubator and in a lab environment, the two groups coming together with the programs that we would envision and the initiatives of people in the space would likely craft new and compelling stories and also new and compelling technologies that they might not otherwise think of if they were separate. The space is on the corner of J and John Street in Dumbo, the entire city block, right opposite Brooklyn Bridge Park. It is will be 20,000 square feet on the ground level, open, collaborative plan. Unlike some of these other incubators, it's actually going to be really nice inside. Great views. There'll be a theater, a 75-seat theater that the tech crowd can use for professional presentations. A cafe, like a real cafe. A gallery, a media arts gallery, like you would read in Time Out magazine and say, wow, let me go into this space. And there'd be large LED screens on the walls that both the storytellers and the tech side could use. Classrooms, our partner here is General Assembly, leading both finance and entrepreneurship, tech and design, while we would take career, sustainability, transmedia experience, which is a big thing that we're very big on, transmedia, and other things. And an Angel VC club headed by John Miller, who's was formerly the CEO of digital at Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. So the facility is scheduled to open in July 2013. These are just artist renderings. This isn't necessarily what it's going to look like, but it is on the ground floor. It gives you some sample of what it might look like. This is actually, I think, a better idea. 200 seats. For every seat in the space, there is another lounge seat. So 200 people working together collaboratively also can go and sit and move to 200 lounge seats very easily. You can see the theater in the space, meditative rooms that make it, just quiet to go inside and clear your head. A lot of room between the chairs and the tables, classrooms. And then outside is the park as well. It's really a very interesting place in order to put yourselves in. Subsidized, like, I'm not going to quote a price, but it would be really, really very favorable and maybe better than you might find in other places. What's in it for you in my last minute before I conclude? We believe that the intersection of storytellers and technologists are the bleeding edge. This is the moment in time now for both of you. And if we can create a space where the two of you come together to craft new stories and new technologies and things that maybe we have yet to imagine, we think that you can achieve that in that space. The storyteller, I know some of you are thinking about IP. We have, if anything that a not-for-profit has, is very strong legal teams. So we already have agreements crafted that you can change for yourself, that a storyteller would give you license to use their story, and you would give license for your tech to be used the other way, flip side. And that's all determined between the two of you. For you, though, the people in this room, and what we're looking for is techs who are working in platforms and technologies that would be of use to media makers. And that's still a wide capacity, but if somebody's involved in online dry cleaning, it's not going to really work. But if you're working in something that you think a storyteller, a filmmaker, would be able to showcase your technology in order to extend that story onto a transmedia environment, then you're right for this space. And that's really the value proposition for you. You have a very difficult job in what you're doing, but we believe that if we can offer you really talented filmmakers with long track records who have compelling stories, that you would go along for that ride, and that those filmed entertainment projects would penetrate the popular consciousness, and they would be using the technologies that you create. And I think that there's something there, and I would urge anybody that's interested to go to this website. I should have put it on the screen, but I didn't. It's mediacenter.ifp.org. You could just type in NY Media Center. There's a lot of news stories about it. Click to send an email. It'll come to me, and I can give tours. I can talk deeper about it, and answer any questions that anybody may have. 3 minutes? That's it. I'll be around later.
Thank you very much. So as we switch the computers over very awkwardly right now, let me please introduce our featured speaker for the night. We have Victoria Brown with us. Victoria is the CEO and creator of Big Think, which is an amazing, amazing resource for anybody who's interested in anything. She went to McGill University for a BA, and she got her MBA from Harvard. Before Big Think, she started off with Vertex Consultants, which is a management consulting agency in Toronto, and then after that went to Summit Entertainment and Universal Studios in Los Angeles, where she actually was nominated for an Emmy for producing Charlie Rose's interview with Ted Turner, which is really awesome. So now I would like to introduce Victoria. Thank you.
So as I said, I'm Victoria Brown, co-founder and CEO of BigThink. And BigThink is an online knowledge forum helping people get smarter, faster for success in the knowledge economy. And how do we do that? Well, it's through our global network of experts who are changing the way we work and live. So to be on BigThink, you have to be leading in your field or disrupting your field. And we have over 3,000 experts on our website, ranging from Nobel laureates to former presidents to business leaders, actors, activists, etc. And each of them is very unique in their own right. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about lessons that myself and my business partner, Peter Hopkins, have learned about entrepreneurship in the course of creating this company that launched 5 years ago, a website this month, but we've been working on it for 6 years. So, as I said, what BigThink is today is not what it started as. And it really took Peter and myself, who met working at PBS together, both had interests in creating a company. And we didn't really know what it was. And we met for probably 3 or 4 months before coming up with an idea that we had a very grand idea. It was going to be an online university that wasn't going to be for credit, but would be accessible publicly to the world. And we started to go and try and get people interested in this, and potential investors and advisors said, well, that's a really, really grand idea. I think you need to tone it down a little bit to something that can be manageable and understandable to the regular person. And so this is a quote that I like from the business school that I went to, from one of the most sort of notable entrepreneurial professors there, Bill Salmon. And he says, that entrepreneurship and the entrepreneur is the relentless pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources. And that forms the center of the entrepreneurial mindset. And that entrepreneurs don't worry about the resources they lack, but they worry about the resourcefulness required to get the big idea done. And for sure, we've seen that in the course of our working together. And so we had the idea, as I said, we then needed to go and try and get funding. So over and over we met with people. We flew to Los Angeles, we flew to San Francisco. Probably 20% of the time we'd go on trips, and the people that we were trying to meet wouldn't show up. And so we would constantly have to be, entering a positive frame of mind and thinking that as we were rejected over and over again, that we actually could build this company. And so we would pitch to potential investors, they give us feedback, we go and rework our plans over and over until finally we came up with a description that people understood. So what would BigThink be? BigThink would be sort of like Davos democratized. So there are these conversations that happen around the world where only a very select group of people get to participate, and only a very select group of people actually get to go and hear what these people that are affecting the way that we work and live, say. And so we decided that basically this was something that could be understandable to people. And so we created it, and we went out to pitch, and we started to gather a small group of angel investors. And at this point, it's a little bit like a chess game, because no one person is going to say yes until they know that somebody else has said yes. So we sort of had to be creative and say, well, this person is interested, if you'll do it, they'll do it, etc. And we finally gathered 5 investors. But we still didn't have any financing for an attorney or anything like that. And we had spent time going to some tech meetups and also meeting other entrepreneurs in New York and elsewhere to figure out what are the steps from idea to company. So we knew we needed an attorney at a very early stage once we had gathered some interested advisors and investors. So it turned out, and it's interesting that tonight here we have a group of attorneys, or soon-to-be attorneys, who are willing to help tech startups. But we actually found a guy who worked at ARC, a very prestigious firm in San Francisco, and his entire business at ARC was finding companies that were about to go through financing and would likely get financed. And he would help those companies for free until they received financing and then paid them back. And this was one of the first things we did about finding resources out there that we didn't have the money to pay for but could actually cobble together. So we finally got the attorney, and then I quit my job. I thought it would take about 2 weeks for us to get financing, and as most people know, when they are in the startup world, things take a lot longer than anticipated. So it actually took about 2.5 months for all of the paperwork, etc., to come together. Those were kind of worrying times because I didn't have any savings or anything like that, and basically had just left believing that we would be starting this thing. And there's a video that we have from one of our experts, Ed Norton, who is both an actor, but he is also an entrepreneur. And he has a business called CrowdRise. And this is a video of him talking about what it was like for him to start CrowdRise.
At the beginning, when you start that process, I think it's 100% certain that it will feel completely half-baked. You will always be looking over your shoulder, waiting for somebody to call you out and say, you're a fraud, you're an idiot, like, this is not going to work. Getting used to that sensation is a good thing. I've been acting professionally for 20 years, and I still start things and basically wait for somebody to go, wow, you really don't know what you're doing. You really suck. You have to anticipate and embrace the inevitable sensation of fear. Like, you will feel fear, for sure. And you will feel risk. None of those like daydreams where you imagine yourself in a movie of your own success, like just happen without that zone and period of risk and terror. Like, existential sort of horror and certainty that like you are going to fail. I don't think that ever goes away. The only thing I think happens is that you get used to the sensation, where you can get to that point where you say, oh yeah, this is that phase where, I'm sweating out 3 t-shirts a day because I think we're about to go off the cliff. And that's okay. You're like, I'll buy my cheap t-shirts and just, wait it out. And then sometimes you're not wrong. Sometimes you do crash and fail. but that's okay too. I think a lot of people just balk at that sensation, and I think you gotta push through it.
So after we had financing, we obviously had the paperwork of a company, but we had none of the infrastructure of a company at all. So day one, it's really daunting. What you've promised your investors you're going to deliver in a matter of months. Where do you start? So we decided we had to get office space. So we went to a small architectural firm and had a little office space there. We had no experience in video production or editing, and this is the product that we were going to deliver. So we had to go out and find people that did. We had absolutely no experience in building websites. And again, it was this entrepreneurial mindset of cobbling together things that did not exist and asking for people's advice who did have that experience. And so early on, we were very lucky because we raised not a lot of money, and so we didn't have the luxury of thinking, okay, we're going to scale this thing and to figure out how many people are going to come to it before thinking about how we make money from it. From day one, even before we had a website, we were thinking about how would we make money from this business because we literally had to. We had a very, very small runway. And so something that I would advise people that are building their company today is to think before and always during the early stages, how will you get revenue very quickly? Because I don't think I would like to be in the position of a company who 2 years in, they have had a lot of money, but they still haven't figured out how they're going to make money. And so for us, we realized that sponsorships was a clear way for us to get money. And not advertising, because we didn't have a website to speak of yet, and we also didn't have any audience. And so advertising would have been yielded incredibly small amounts of money. So integrated sponsorships for us was the way to go. And we went and approached Pfizer and MSNBC as our first clients before we had a website, before we had really any product to show. And they actually came on as our first sponsors. And with MSNBC, we got SAP and GE. And so that's why my advice is to actually start selling the product before you have it. Secondly, listen to what customers want. A few times we probably missed out on a sale because we went in with a very, very hardwired proposal and didn't actually listen to what they were telling us they wanted. And now we ask a lot of questions before writing a proposal versus just coming up with ideas we think that they will want. Because by and large, if they tell you things that they're interested in, they will probably buy. Hiring. This is something that has been an ongoing challenge for us. And it's not that there aren't amazing people out there, there really are. But fit is an incredibly important element to being part of a company. And time and again, we have hired people and kept them on for far too long, even though they know it's not a fit and we know it's not a fit, just because we have a sense of loyalty to them. And Dan Ariely, who's a famous professor from Duke, a psychologist, basically talks about in this next video the Zappos culture, how they go about hiring people that they believe will fit into their culture and into their company. And I think this is a very, very interesting process that they do. We don't do this ourselves. We're still small, but as we grow, I could see us doing something like this.
GetGlue has two goals of doing it. The first one is they don't want people who are not really dedicated. Because people who are not dedicated are not good employees themselves, and they can also pollute the people around them. Right? If you sit in the floor with other people who don't care about their job and they talk badly to customers, this could penetrate and make the whole atmosphere much worse. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is something called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is the idea that if you act a certain way and your beliefs are not consistent with this action, what can you do? You can't change your action. Your action has been established. You remember what you did, so you change your beliefs to be consistent with this action. So what happened? This offer that Zappos gives doesn't last forever. It lasts for, I think, 48 hours. And then if you didn't take this offer after these 48 hours, and you wake up every day going to work, you think to yourself, why didn't I take these $3,000? And you probably say to yourself, it must be because I really love this company, and I'm really dedicated, and I really care about it, and therefore you go to work and you're even more careful. And I think it's really a shame that only startups, only companies who start small and start from a blank slate are really innovative in terms of how to motivate people. And I think we actually need to look at startups and we need to look at new models and also try to innovate in that regard in big companies.
So this is something that we actually have adopted, which we used to hire people as soon as we met them and thought that they would be great. We now have a pretty lengthy testing process before we have somebody in, because it is very difficult for that person and for the company if there's a bad fit. And so this is a line that we heard somewhere, which I think sounds very harsh, but is actually quite applicable. Just hire slowly and fire fast. So we've also been working for the past 3 or 4 years on finding a way to scale the business, because sponsorships, while great when they come in, tend to be very unpredictable. And if we had based hiring and resources on certain months, we would probably be out of business today if we thought, okay, this 1 month where we earn a lot of money is going to be representative of the entire year. So finding scale has been a huge motivating factor for us. And at the same time, we've probably built 3 or 4 products that have completely failed. And if we had become so enamored of them because of ego or whatever that we had not cut them again, I think we probably would have gone out of business. And so there was always a moment where we realized, okay, we've tried hard enough on this thing, and we really are getting no interest from potential customers. And so I think a big lesson for entrepreneurs is to not be too wed to the things that you're building and to know when to cut your losses, because some costs are sunk. And also, actually pertains to me, it's very important to keep an open mind. So this is just a picture of our YouTube channel from a few days ago. It's, I think, closer to 47 million video views now. And we really only started using our YouTube channel probably about 8 months ago. And that was a big mistake on my part, because I kept saying, why would we be giving them all of our videos and building up their traffic and brand when we want people to be coming to our site? And I think this is a lesson in the expanding pie scenario, essentially that sometimes sharing things and creating different opportunities is actually a winning scenario. And so we put up about 7 months ago all 9,000, and it's now about 15,000 of our videos. And our channel is one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube, and we are now one of their biggest partners. It's led to a lot of increased revenue from us, from a totally different stream than we hadn't got before, and also a unique partnership with YouTube. And also the traffic to our own site has increased. And I had had a really closed mind for about 4 years on this, and had we started it 4 years ago or 5 years ago, our traffic, I think, would be even much bigger on YouTube and on our own site. So another lesson is basically pivoting. So the business you start may not be the business you build. And it's definitely true that what we were selling 5 years ago bears very little resemblance to what we sell today. And I think that I've seen a lot of companies, including big ones, get sort of mired in what they've done in the past and can't think about what they should be doing in the future and paying attention to the changing business landscape. And so for us, we actually have found that the corporate market is something that we were not focusing on except on sponsorships. And today, for the knowledge economy, employees are demanding more than ever that they be kept up to date and have increased professional and personal development. And we modeled this new product, which is called Big Think Edge, off of Google University. And I just like to show you one video, and this is the last video and the end of the presentation, of this new product, which is completely different than the type of content we were creating before. And this is John Seely Brown, who was one of the founders of Xerox PARC, which is where Steve Jobs got part of the idea for creating Apple. And he's just sort of a legendary tech guy.
Maui has never had in its history any junior or world-class champion surfers. The world-class surfers always come from the North Shore of Oahu, near Maui. And then an amazing singularity. There were 5 kids, aged 16 at the time. Not one, but all 5 became all world champions. How could this have happened? Never before in the history of Maui. And then, out of the blue, this happens. They said, we gotta have new ideas. Let's look at adjacencies. Now, this is an aha for the corporate world. They say, let's look at how people are doing other things closely aligned to us that we may be able to learn from and repurpose. Windsurfing, snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking. They would even look at, in the extreme cases, motocrossing. And in fact, the last time I checked in with Dusty, he had just gotten another world championship from an idea called the Superman move on a motorcycle, which is totally unbelievable unless you follow motocrossing. But it's where you actually let the bike get out ahead of you, and you hold on to the back and you fly behind the back of the bike. Okay? This is not something for him to try. He repurposed this move over here, which is already pathological in the motorcycle realm, into the surfboard realm, and basically won the event, the next move.
So that type of content is very useful in companies and leadership type retreats, and we recently have signed up a bunch of companies for it. And again, it's not something that we would have thought of 5 years ago, but we listened to what our customers were wanting and actually created a new product from it. So that's the end, and I think I have time for a few questions before the next presenter comes up, if anybody has any. Yes. You.
Do you have anything, any advice? I felt like I kept getting into situations where I would engage with my client requests, but I felt like I was constantly chasing, like, every meeting I had, I would get like a new, idiotic little feature that they would ask for. Did you ever find any techniques or strategies for balancing, like the insane requests of your clients with your realities?
Well, I think that starts at the beginning of basically figuring out what they really want and need and being communicative along the way. I mean, where we have had errors is when we basically have short meetings, think that we know what they want, and then come back with these incredibly robust proposals, which hasn't addressed what they are really looking for. And so I can give you an example. Today we had a meeting with a potential client where we wrote a proposal based upon what they had told us a few weeks ago. But in the meantime, his thinking had changed. And so he is actually now, because he wants to get this done, putting input to us and basically helping us write the proposal because he needs to get the work done. And so to the greatest extent that you can, I would say actually collaborating with the client is the way to go versus just kind of firing shots in the dark.
You were speaking about your initial sponsorship meetings. 5 years ago, what were you selling? What was part of your sponsorship package?
Well, we were selling basically videos, and we thought, well, in the case of Pfizer, we learned that they had issues in basically being perceived as a breakthrough pharmaceutical company. And so we came up with this idea, which we'll do a series called Breakthroughs, and basically feature leading thinkers across disciplines who have created amazing technology or done something radical. And this was just ideas that we had and presented to them. And so we didn't have any of the interviews done. We just created a list of people that we thought would be of interest to them and made it seem like we could get them. We didn't know if we could, but we were selling, you know, basically a hope and a dream. And once we sold it, we managed to get it done. Yes.
So I was noticing, just looking at a few of your YouTube videos just now, it seems like you've really engaged a lot of your subscribers. The comments are much more lengthy. A lot of them disagree strongly with some of the, but that's okay. They're disagreeing because you've gotten their attention, you've gotten a reaction. So I'm wondering that once you have viewers of your videos engaged, how do you harness that energy? And how do you keep them engaged?
Well, we haven't figured that out, to be quite honest, and it's something that we are really focusing on now, because when we create content these days, we like to think of it as being significant, relevant, and actionable. So it's not just something that somebody watches, but they can use it to apply to their own work in life. And so that's how we think about engaging our audience. We hope that they'll learn from it. The comments and stuff are great, but that's not what we're actually going for, except if they're giving us feedback about how we can make the content more useful to them. But you're right. I mean, some of the videos on YouTube have well over 20,000 comments, and the minimum numbers are usually well into the hundreds, which is far more basically lengthy and robust than most other sites offer. I think I have time for one more.
It seems like both with the sponsorships and the experts, you know, it's much easier to get more people when you can say we have Ed Norton or we have MSNBC. So I was wondering how you got those first experts and sponsors, and then whether you had like a strategy for sort of rolling them into the next group.
Well, sure. It was sort of like the way we got investors, because we'd say this person is interested versus, you know, we have them. We would never say that we had them. But I remember our first interview was with Robert Thurman, who's professor at Columbia, you know, famous, basically, he's a famous religious professor, and with Thurman's father. And he said to me, who else has been on here? I was like, well, you're going to be the first. And in the course of a month, we probably did 100 interviews. And we went to the Aspen Ideas Festival, figured out ways that we could go to places where thought leaders were located and just do piles of interviews. And then once we had 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, it was far easier to get others to do it. But our first 5 were very, very important ones. And Richard Branson was one of the first 5 we did as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victoria. That was really awesome. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Next, we are going to hear from Behance, which is an amazing way for creative artists, people to showcase their work and network with others, and it's very popular. It probably needs an introduction. So Dave,
If I wasn't nervous, nervous enough after that presentation. I'm quite more nervous. Can't really compete with Edward Norton. He's awesome. So I'm Dave Stein. I'm the first programmer at Behance. Quick question, how many of you know what Behance is? A bunch of you guys. Awesome. My coworkers don't count. So how many of you are developers in here, and how many are designers? Awesome. All right, so for those that don't know, this is Behance. I'm using a very strange laptop, so bear with me. So this is it, and Behance is a place to showcase and discover creative work, as this obviously says. We're the largest platform for creative professionals, professional being the keyword. And we have millions of members, millions of projects, etc. And these are all projects, and people showcase their work. So you go in and you can see their stuff, and you can just browse through all their stuff. It's graphic design, illustrators, videographers, and all that. But Behance doesn't matter so much for the talk I'm about to do. The talk I want to talk about is how we work together. I'm a developer, so how developers work with designers and how the designers work with developers to make a better workflow. So I don't have any slides. I just have a handy dandy old fashioned piece of paper that I'm going to be looking for my notes. So I very much have like 10 things that we do or have done over the years to make sure that we don't want to kill each other, because I'm pretty sure that developers in this room have wanted to kill designers and vice versa, because that's what I hear from everyone else. And even before we did these things, there was a lot of, clenched fists at times. So I've been there since the beginning. It's been 6 years, and it's gone from wanting to kill to getting along, and I figured that's a good trend. Here's the things that we're doing. The first thing that we realized to do is to be reviewing with designers early and earlier. We had it that the designers would design in their bubble, and this is true of bigger corporations a lot more, I'm sure, because I know there's places where, developers are in a whole other building than designers, which is kind of insane for a startup. Obviously, that would never happen. But the designers would design all their stuff, and then the developers would look at it later, and then we'd start developing, and then we'd find there's a missing state, or the designer said, oh, this is much more complicated than it looked on a mock, etc. And so what we decided is that we have 2 important review phases aside from, intermittent ones. And the one is when they're done with the wireframe, we sit down with them and we talk, and they point out all the features for us, and we go through all the mocks. And then we sign off on things and say, yes, this is all doable or not. And then they go ahead and they go to the final designs, and final is in quotes because design is never done, and you're always going to be getting other feature requests and changes along the way. And then pretty much they go from that, and then we code based on the final quote-unquote design. And then the next thing that we decided to do is when you're programming, I don't know how many of you know, but there's the sandbox, so you're coding in your own little world, not on the internet. Then there's a staging environment where it's supposed to be like it's going to be on the internet, and then you push to production and everyone sees it live on Behance.net or whatever. And the staging environment is where everything is supposed to be done. And so that's when we originally were having the designers review after the code, right? So you'd be done coding, you'd say this is it, and then they'd say, no, nothing is good in the staging environment, even though it should be. And so what we decided is that we would have them reviewing when we're done in our local. Because what a lot of the designers don't understand originally, and they do better now, is that when you're in a staging environment, it's a lot more expensive to make a change, and in production it's even more expensive. So we said, screw you guys, we're going to be reviewing with you before it's necessarily done, because we need to get the feedback sooner. Because the later in the process you're getting that feedback, and it sounds like common sense, but a lot of places apparently don't get the feedback soon enough, you're just going to be more upset because you're going to hear more changes, etc. And also for startups especially, don't start programming until the designs are as done as can be, because you're not making money, you're trying to get something out, and the designer's like, all right, here's half of the flow of this page, start, so you could do something, because there's a lot of that pressure to code. Just don't do that. That's a bad practice. If you guys are doing that, that's one of the lessons we've learned, obviously, is because halfway through they're going to make a big process change. It's just bound to happen, and that's part of why we made sure that we put those 2 prior things in. But in the start, there was like, oh, we're just going to change this around and waste a week. So no, not good. Also, I notice a lot of times that developers will get upset with designers because of missing states or other random little things missing around on the on the design. And I think that it's a team responsibility, because one of the problems is that I find that there's a lot of us and them mentality between those pesky designers or those pesky developers. And if you're thinking that at your team, that's pretty toxic, and you should stop thinking that, because it is everyone's fault. And that's part of why you review sooner, because when you're reviewing with the designers, you should also be thinking about the empty states. You should also be thinking about what happens if there's multiple pages and all these things where, when it was like an us versus them, it was like, well, why didn't you do this or that, when in fact I was looking at this at the same time as them and I didn't think of it either. Both sides are going to make mistakes. What I always like to say is let the designers design whatever the hell they want, and then you can talk about it later as far as if you're going to actually get it on the site. So at Behance, even when we're going through all the reviews, the designers will put in all sorts of crazy features that we might not necessarily be able to do. And I think a lot of times that like developers will get upset seeing those things, thinking they're going to end up in the final product. But it's important to know that that it's not. And if it is that way at your company, I would be talking to whoever's in charge. And if you're in a startup, obviously, and there's a few people, you have more control over these things. But to think that something's going to be in design, if your designers think that it's there and it's going to end up on the final production site or vice versa, that's just not going to work out, because obviously, like I said, the final design isn't really final. You're going to be programming, they're going to be thinking about things and wanting to put it there. And we would have designers go straight to the developer and be like, oh, I thought of this really cool idea for the site. Do you think it's cool? And you'd be like, yeah, it's cool. And we'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And then you're just pushing the product back, right? So it's important that in the company culture that everyone, my coworker's laughing at me. Yeah. Great. There, everyone looked at you, so take that. Anyway, so it's important that the company culture is such that when anyone's having a good idea, that you actually talk about the good idea with whoever's in charge of your business priority. Because it was surprising me when I found, as we got bigger especially, that if design had a good idea, they'd go to a developer and they'd start doing it. And then the guys in charge of business decisions would be like, well, why is the product behind? And then the designers and developers would be like, well, we wanted this cool thing. So it's amazing what could happen as your team grows. All things that you think should be common sense go out the door as a team grows unless you've actually talked about it. So that's how all these little things end up happening. And also as the team gets bigger, I would say for to get along better is obviously just communicate as much as possible. We use HipChat, so we're always in a room just talking to each other. I have 1 minute left. And make sure that they're keeping up to date designs and you keep them up to date if you're falling behind so there's no surprises. And also when there's a big change that you guys actually do design, get that an email or a Google Doc, because guaranteed a week later they're going to forget what the decision was and tell you the opposite, and you need to be like, no, we decided this already, because that happens all the time. We're pointing back the emails. And also, I guess since the time is running out, I'll just say that if any of these things sound familiar and you're like, all right, let's try out whatever this crazy guy said, the improvements are very slow, because you're probably going to go and look and say there's 20 million things you'd like to change to make you're working better with designers better, or designers working with developers better, and you should just realize per deadline, if they got 1 out of 20, that's improvement, and don't be upset. I find that even when someone's improving, it's hard to acknowledge any of their improvements when there's still so much that you think needs to be fixed. And so I would just say make sure every time you guys are moving forward, and that's all that really matters. So yeah, I guess I'll take some questions. Any questions? Hey, back there.
Do you use any tools like Axure where both the design is code?
We've tried Axure and a couple of the others, and they never had the complexity that would make it good for us to tell if we like the UI or not. We've tried it a bunch of times. For a good while, the developers, including me, were pushing for products like that, and they barely got us anywhere. And then now we have a designer, actually, it's pretty unorthodox, I know, but the designer actually likes to make prototypes using jQuery. And he's been building out the new home page using that, and because he just makes it sloppy real fast just to get a sense of the UI. But we have some crazy interface at times. I know for a majority that Axure and something like that would be good. Yeah. Any other questions? Back there.
How much is your designers, are your designers actually doing visual design as opposed to UX design? Is there any crossover?
Originally, we obviously had one designer when we started, and his UX skills weren't the greatest for web. But we've broken out the team more, so it's in stages really of wireframing and making sure that it's going to be, you know, a design that makes sense on the site. And then we actually just have a UX guy that's focused on it more. And then as far as mobile goes, now we have a mobile guy. So we're finally getting responsive designs as far as that kind of UX goes. But yeah, I mean, that's how we've been doing it.
So you sort of alluded to this, but it sounds like the designers aren't on the same team as the developer. Can you give a little context what the size of the company is and what the teams are? Because it sounds like they're not actually on the same product team or whatever you call it.
Yeah, there's like 15 developers and like 5 designers. So we're obviously 2 separate teams because we don't do any overlap. We don't believe in half and half designers or programmers, because the philosophy we have is that, you know, you're either going to excel at one or the other as opposed to being this much at both. So we literally just have full-time designers and full-time developers, aside from the weirdness of the prototype thing I mentioned before. And like I said, you know, having them as 2 separate teams is obviously common, and I mean, we just got acquired by Adobe, and like one of the things about the acquisition was important that we even stay in the same, you know, location and office. And you know, a lot of places are just so far removed, and when the further you are from that other team, it's easier to have that mentality of we're a separate, like actual separate team. I mean, we're separate only in the sense that we have different tasks, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, which is the Behance team, and that's the way it should be looked at. And the second anyone's thinking otherwise, that's just not good for the company. In fact, in the last talk, hire slowly, fire fast, we say that a lot as well, because you know, if you hire the wrong culture, the wrong cultural fit, that will spread, like the last speaker said. And so, yeah, you just got to keep it healthy and make sure that people have your same set of ideas. That's like why when we interview, if anyone's like, a lot of times we'll interview for a developer position, and then the guy will be like, yeah, and you know, I like design too, how much do I get to work with the designers? And it's like, well, that's not going to work here, so, yeah. All right, any other questions? All right, that's it. All right, cool. Thanks for having me.
And next we have GetGlue, which I use and it's fantastic. I would highly recommend it. It is both social and personal TV selection. And we have here Lara to talk to us a little bit more. And thank you. Thanks again.
Hello, my name is Lara Warman, and I do product at GetGlue, and I'm just going to sort of give you an overview of what we're all about through the eyes of our iPhone app that we're actually just got approved and we're launching next week. So GetGlue is the leading platform for social TV. We sort of own the TV check and movie space because we have social tools integrated into just about every entertainment experience regarding TV and movies. So the whole premise is that users can check in to their favorite shows and movies and earn rewards. In our case, it's a sticker, and these stickers are used to showcase your personality, but also you can order them in real life and have them sent to your home. And then we're also all about discovery, so we provide exclusive content from shows from our partners. Currently, we have over 3.5 million users. We provide sort of the social tools for them to use, and they provide more activity than Twitter does for primetime scripted television. We have over 700 million check-ins, likes, and comments, and we couldn't do it without 75 major network partners. But really, under all those numbers, we're about discovery, sharing, and the second screen. So you open your TV, or you turn on your TV now, and there's 400 channels to sift through. You have no idea what's on. You have to go through, okay, what's on now, what's on in an hour. We really try to solve that problem with our personal smart guide. We take your preferences and your interactions with our site, and we combine it with our 700 million check-ins, likes, and other data that we have, and we create an algorithm to provide recommendations for you as far as what to watch, what's on right now, and we sync up with your channel provider to do so. We also believe that the future of displaying television information is in the form of a calendar and not a grid. So we display the sort of relevant information that's on tonight, and then we go into a further sort of future view of what's exciting for you next week and what's even more exciting for you in the future, like large events. And we're also sort of working in a space where TV is not necessarily linear anymore. So we're working with partners, all of your favorite streaming outlets. As far as sharing, we also firmly believe in sharing, and so we really want to create these communities around shows. With our app, with our product, you can check in, but you can also have conversations about shows. Like this person was able to figure out when Fringe would be showing, now that it's no longer live on TV. And then we also have an activity feed to keep updates with your friends, fans of your favorite shows, celebrities, etc. We're also all about the second screen, and that's sort of where we work the most. And the idea is that you can participate in your favorite shows while you watch. So we work with our partners to get you exclusive content, and one example of this is we worked with American Horror Story, and we were able to sort of do a promotion with them where before their premiere, if fans checked in a certain number of times, they would unlock exclusive content, a behind-the-scenes sort of thing, and fans were able to do that even though the show wasn't airing within 12 hours. So we have a lot of engagement around these shows. It's sort of a safe space for people who want to talk about TV without necessarily worrying about spoilers and really have conversations around it. So basically what we're trying to do is reimagine this discovery on the first and second screens. And we're looking to release our iPhone app next week, where Android and mobile are shortly thereafter. And it's been a process. We sort of started off as you can check into anything, and we've been really redesigning and refocusing and trying to get this sort of new platform out on all apps, and it's been a good process. So we're also always looking for great talent in product design engineering, so talk to you about that if you'd like. But I just want to briefly talk about that and open it up for questions about what we do, how we work, really anything at all.
How are you monetizing?
Currently, we are starting to explore promoted posts, so networks can promote posts about other shows that are working, that are on their channels and such. We're also looking towards creating more sort of behind the scenes and working with partners in that sense. But right now, we're just sort of starting to explore that. But it's a constant struggle, as I'm sure many of you know.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, with more series turning to web shows and stuff like that, are you guys exploring any web-based options instead of just major TV networks?
Absolutely. So we're working with partnerships on Hulu and Netflix and such, not just pulling in their data, but starting to incorporate their players into our system. So really recognizing that TV is moving beyond sort of the plug and play into the streaming world. And it's been interesting, actually, the community surrounding that and the community management in terms of spoilers as far as people who are maybe 3 or 4 seasons behind. And so starting to see that self-regulation amongst our users has been really interesting. And we're still working on ways to sort of harness those new users, because it's a different type of experience, vastly different than live TV. So.
How's the introduction of Z-Box impacted you guys?
We had a pretty strong social network. We had a pretty strong user base to begin with. Obviously it's a competitor, and obviously we look closely at their product, but we really have this strong community, and I think that that's something that we just have these users who are fans, gurus, whatever of the shows, and they police the show page, and they're on there all the time, and they're highly engaged. And I mean, I think really where we stand out is that user base and that community, and it's pretty strong.
You kind of alluded to this, but how do you deal with the spoiler? If I just started watching Boardwalk Empire.
Absolutely. So.
And it's great, by the way.
It's a great show.
If I were going to go look at the page on GetGlue, I'd avoid learning things that I don't want to know.
Right. So we're actually working through that. Working in product, that's one of the things that I'm working on at this, well, not this moment, but this week. I mean, it's something that we're constantly trying to figure out. And right now we just have self-regulation. You know how the Twitter hashtag came about because people, the user base decided upon it, and that's sort of how it came about. We have people marking their posts as spoilers to begin with, and if you don't mark your posts as spoilers, someone will comment very loudly and say, this is a spoiler, do not read. And so you get very good at looking for the word spoiler throughout. But we're looking at a lot of different options as far as different UIs, different experiences of showing and finding content, different toggles, etc.
It sounds like you may not need
I know, we're looking at whether, that whether the community polices itself, or, if we need something to actually disengage the student. Any other questions? Go for it.
What percentage of your users has gotten to the point where you have to mail them stickers, and has that been a problem?
Actually, most of our users do. So the stickers are free, and you can order, once you unlock 20 stickers, you can order real copies of them once a month. And so we have users who are very adamant about ordering them every month, and then we have users whose stickers aren't that big of a deal. So right now we're looking to sort of expand and figure out the right sticker ordering process. But I don't have percentages, but I know that a lot of we have a strong user base that definitely does order them, and it's been an interesting challenge on the physical side of things and not just the practical side of things.
How are you doing outside the US?
We are focusing on US now. We are opening up, we're exploring different options for opening up to more international areas. But right now we're just trying to get our newest platform out on all devices, and then from there we'll be really looking towards the international space.
Got one more question there once. Yay.
Any takers? No? Cool. Well, thank you.
Okay, cool. So thanks so much everyone for presenting. Thanks to our sponsors. Before we go back to beer and schmoozing, this is our favorite little part. It's an open forum. Anyone can address the group. Any concern you have, question, if you have job offers at your company, if you're looking for a job, if you like the color red and want to let the group know, please get us this time and feel comfortable, because that's what we're trying to do here and create this sort of community effect. So, sure, I see movement. Yeah, sorry.
You just stare at me.
Oh, I can just stare right there.
Yeah,
just shout out.
Can I go next and use the...
Just stand there and just tell everyone.
So is that a no?
Just
My name is Parker. I'm an entrepreneur, UI, UX designer as well. I have a product called eHighlighter. It's a personal research assistant. It uses your iPhone's camera to bring ebook benefits to paper sources. Take a picture of a page, you select a sentence, it looks cool. Transcribe the text. My new tagline I'm trying out, take great notes 90% faster. Launched it in August. It's gotten some great reception on the App Store. We have about 20K downloads. Just started charging for it. We're an Evernote featured app. Like everyone else in the world, I'm looking for an iOS developer. I just worked with somebody for like 4 months. He just didn't have the skills to kind of put out the polished app that I'm looking for. Equity is available. There's some cash available. Go try out my app. Let me know what you think.
What's the name again?
Oh, eHighlighter.
eHighlighter.
eHighlighter, spelled out the long way. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Here, thanks.
Hi, I'm Smookler. I'm an associate at Reitler case in Rosenblatt. I graduated from Brooklyn Law School in 2002. I work with Blip. Just want to tell you a little bit about our firm. We represent startups and venture funds, and we're very much part of the startup ecosystem. Some of the things that we can do for you, we can give you advice on starting and operating your business. We can draft the necessary documents to get you off the ground and running. We can also connect you to our network of capital sources, whether it's angels or venture funds, and we can provide you with budgets and kind of hard estimates as to fees to make it more affordable, just help you in planning and what you need to do. Finally, we can give you senior level advice from our partners and our senior counsel to help you navigate the waters as you develop your product. If any of you want to chat after this open forum, I'll be in the back waiting for you. And my colleague Brendan Davies, here's one. Thanks.
Hey, you guys. Yeah, you're back over there.
Hi, I work at a small agency in New York. It's a digital agency. We do the full scale, from strategy all the way to production. We're hiring. Mostly looking for front-end developers, but we are always interested in designers with a clear eye, ideas, et cetera, et cetera. Come talk to me.
What was the name?
Digital Pulp.
Digital Pulp.
We're actually currently, some of our clients, we're actually currently working on the Dartmouth new website, so responsive. One of our other clients is Public Library of Science, IEEE. You can look us up, but like I said, front-end developers and/or designers.
Awesome. Anyone else? Yeah, it's up in the back. Yeah. Yes. No. Sorry. You. Sure. All you.
Hi, my name is Leo Seventh. I'm here with my friend Ben Ossie. We are the co-founders of Tutorialize.me. It's a web app that allows you to very easily create interactive tour guides on your website. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of them on Google and Facebook, not ours, but we built the service to make it extremely easy. So if you're a web app owner, just have a website and you think you'd like to educate your users, check us out, come talk to me, come talk to Ben, and we'll help you out.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Cool. My name is Ben Dornberg. I graduated from Wesleyan a month ago and moved to the city looking for someone who will pay me money in exchange for doing work. I don't program and I don't design, but I do anything that involves writing or thinking or talking to people. I've done sales, I've done marketing, I've done other things. And I'm very friendly, so if you want to come up and chat with me, I will try and convince you to hire me. So thank you.
Yeah,
I'm Sarah, I'm part of Blip, one of the co-sponsors of tonight's event. We are part of the law school here. We provide free legal services to early stage startups, pre-funding. There are other people here. Come talk to any of us if you would like to share your ideas, talk to us about legal stuff, become a client of the Blip Clinic.
Thank you, Sarah.
We're hosting another meetup here, February 13th on immigration and entrepreneurship. There are not visas that work well for entrepreneurs coming from other countries to start their own businesses in the U.S. And we're going to have a panel discussion explore the issue. It's on meetup.com under New York Legal Hackers, and there are flyers at the front table.
Awesome, thank you. Before I forget, also Blip and Brooklyn Law, Jolie here is filming this whole thing, and this the whole presentation and all the speakers, etc., will be available on YouTube. So we'll post that to our social media, our Facebook, and our Twitter if you guys want to see the presentations again, or if you forgot something, you need to write down their contact information. That'll all be up. And thanks, Jolie. We will let you know when that's up. Thanks. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Andre Lecopier. Do you feel like the whole world's a black tuxedo and you're a pair of brown shoes? This is pretty nerve-wracking, I have to tell you. I work for a company called Merchant Consulting Group. I'm the guy who can set you up and take credit card processing, MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express. We can do it online, we can do it brick and mortar. So I'll be available in the back there and I'll have business cards as well. It's a way to bring in income and I can set everybody up in here. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hi, my name is Amyt Eckstein. I'm also a Brooklyn Law grad, a technology IP attorney. Also work with startups, established companies, especially in regulated space. And I'll be in the back as well if anyone's looking for help.
We're very law friendly here. Anyone else? Anyone else? This is an awesome time to stand up and speak. It really helps when you go back. People will come and talk to you. So if anyone has anything they want to say, yes.
Hi, my name is Kai. I'm from Bank of America Merrill Lynch. So I help people get business loan and do your equipment leasing. Let's say if you can get, you buy all your equipment for $100, right? We can help you leasing for $30. So you can use the $70 to do your business expanding. And we also help you set up a business plan like a retirement plan like 401k to attract more smart people. Yeah.
For those growing startups, yes. Alex.
Hey, I'm Alex with Experience. We've been sponsoring the Brooklyn Tech Meetup for a couple of months. Love the Jasons, awesome guys doing great work. Hope you guys take off and do really well. We put people to work in IT, so any guys that want a job in IT for any company in New York, come talk to us. We're a global company and get you a job. So I'm done.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. We got time for about 2 more. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jason. My company is called Printzel, and we just met with Blip this week. They took us on as a client, and looking forward to working so far, sir.
Awesome. Good. One more. Anyone? One more person. Come on. Someone who hasn't spoken, just get up and speak. Yes.
Awesome. I'm here with the beer.
It's going well, really good. We got one more that wanted to say something.
It was actually interesting. We got a lot of emails from around the world due to the name of our brand. It's called Lost Tribes. We started getting contacted from people in Afghanistan, Japan, Africa, sending us pictures of their family, their clan, saying they actually had a legend, saying they were part of the story of Lost Tribes, something everyone could Wikipedia. And it was very motivational for us because we're into a business model, but we saw there's a lot of potential with all these people around the world. So we're actually venturing now in the non-for-profit world to create a social media site to take all these people that can share their story and connect on this platform. So we're taking the beer concept and diving right into the IT world. So we are looking on shorthand for anyone who can take like audio presentations and help animate it or turn it into course content. So anyone can speak to us about that at the end as well. Thank you.
Easy work with people here. Yeah, we got one more.
So unrelated. My name is Mary Hermont. I'm here with a company called Social Extract. We are merging social media and analytics with call center technology. We can handle all of your customer service that's coming over social media, and we can also turn our call center into a lead center for you and bring it back to your client and engage in that way. So if you have any needs, it's totally scalable. You can start very small and build up, and we can put together a deal that will work for any size of the company. So if that's interesting, come talk to me. And I'm looking for an assistant.
All right, thanks so much. We're going to go now hang out in the back. Feel free to drink. You have an excuse to on a Tuesday night, socially acceptable. If you have any suggestions, comments at all, contact Jason and I, or if you just want to bother us.
Come and chat.
Yeah, through meetup.com or the various other outlets. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you.